happy New Year, 2025. It started with a bang. We got our prime minister that just resigned. Politics is on holidays for another couple months with what's going on crazy down south. But anyway, just to let you know, December was great. December was a really, really good month for us. I guess for the market, it had picked up. But for us, we always punch above the weight of the average in the market, which I'm really proud of you guys. But it was good. It was good all the way through December, which tells me after 20 years of sitting here that when you have a busy winter and Christmas, it's going to go right through beginning of the new year. And I'm seeing that from the deals that we got right through the new year. So I'm keep your phones charged because you're going to get busy, but you have to make your phone calls to make your phone ring, right? So the more conversations you have, the more meetings that you're going to get. But I'm excited about this year. We brought in some great new licenses in December. We've got a handful coming in January. Majority of them all established, which is good. But again, that just takes time and relationship building with your fellow professionals out there to let them know what it's like here and what you guys are all like, because that's a big attraction for someone coming in is to see the Armands and the Sunnies and the Diegos and the Angels and the Angelis and everybody that's working here, and the Karens and the Vivianas and all that. So happy New Year. We've got the topic today is, what's the topic today, Doug?
Well, we're gonna kind of it's kind of threefold, Mike. It's gonna be the anti-flipping tax. We're gonna go over that briefly. We got Ken Pastor coming in next week, but I just want to cover it because there's some questions out there about it. I want to go into a little bit about a goal setting, just a real preliminary on that one. We're going to have a PDP credit course on that coming up in February on goal setting, a more detailed one. And then just announce, the stats are out. I'm going to cover the stats very quickly. And then there's a list of, we're going to start up with the PDP credit courses, the free ones, the self-directed ones coming up in February. We'll have a bit of a list of that.
All right. So without waiting any longer, Doug, let's start it off.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, the first question I got this year was anti-flipping. Got a call, and I wasn't really ready for it. I was asleep at the switch there, and I got the notification, BCFSA, that the anti-flipping tax is now in effect January 1. And the question was, does this apply? How far back does this apply? So I had to get online, and the first thing I do, guys, is I always tell you guys in the course, and that is I go onto Google and I search BC anti-flipping tax, and boom, up popped the website, and it had an excellent video on it. I'm going to share that video with you right now, and it gives you the first insight. Then I'll cover what else is on that website too. So let's start by sharing that website for you, and I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go share, and I'm going to go there. Can you all see the YouTube video there? Just half you guys don't. All right, here we go. All right.
Hello, and welcome to our overview of the BC home flipping tax. So to start, what is the BC home flipping tax? Well, it's a tax that applies to the profit earned from selling a property in British Columbia, including pre-sale contracts, if the property was owned for less than 730 days. We should note that the BC home flipping tax is separate and distinct from the federal property flipping rules, and it is not harmonized or administered with the federal or BC income tax. It's a separate tax with a separate return, and it is not included with the usual annual income tax filings. BC home flipping tax returns are due 90 days after the sale of the property. Property purchased before the tax's effective date, January 1st, 2025, may be subject to the tax on or after January 1st, 2025, and owned for less than 730 days
unless an exemption applies. We'll get to exemptions a little bit later in the video. Now, by taxable property, we mean that the tax will apply to profit you earn from the sale of properties of the housing unit, properties zoned for residential use, or the right to acquire the above properties, such as the assignment of a purchase contract for a pre-built condo building. So now let's talk about how this tax applies. So if a person, which can include an individual, corporation, partnership, or trust, sells a taxable property on or after January 1st, 2025, then the profit earned from the sale would be subject to the flipping tax if the property was purchased less than 730 days before the sale. The seller of the property may be a BC resident or a resident anywhere else in the world. Now let's illustrate this with a basic example. If you purchased a taxable property on May 1st, 2023, and then sold the property on January 31st, 2025, any profit you earn from the sale of the property would be taxable, as this is less than 730 days. However, if you don't sell the property until June 1st, 2025, then any profit you earn from the sale would not be subject to the tax, as this is a longer period than 730 days. So as I mentioned earlier, there are exemptions to the BC home flipping tax. You may not need to pay the tax if you're eligible for an exemption. Now, depending on your exemption, you're either exempt only after you file a return, or you may be exempt without having to file a return at all. Exemptions exist for life circumstances, for builders, developers, and for building or renovating activity, and for sales between related persons. So please see our website for more specific information and examples of specific exemptions. Now, if the tax applies to the sale of your property, you'll need to file your BC home flipping tax return and pay any tax owing no later than 90 days after the date the property is sold. And note, you're still required to file a return even if your profit from the sale is zero, or if you're eligible for an exemption that requires you to file a return. You don't need to consider the BC home flipping tax and do not have to file a return if one of the following applies. You sold your property after owning it for more than 729 days, or you qualify for an exemption that applies without needing to file a return, or you're a developer and you were initially entering into an agreement which establishes a right to acquire a property. So for example, when a developer enters into a pre-sale agreement with an initial purchaser. If you require more information on the BC home flipping tax, please visit our webpage as shown on the screen. And if you still have questions or require further assistance, you can either email us or call one of the phone numbers also shown on the screen as well. Thank you very much.
Well, there you go on that one there, guys. You can tell by the way they did the video. I don't think he knew what he's talking about first, because he kept, having to go back to his notes or whatever he's doing because it was all broken up. But bottom line is the tax. So this is their website. You guys have all got a link to this website. And what I was looking for, the next question that I had was, does this apply to Indian lands? And what I needed to do is go to the exemptions from the tax, which is here. And it's how the tax is calculated and all that, days of ownership example. And it has a list down here of Indian lands that are exempt. And basically what I'm seeing is that leaseholds aren't applied to this. But again, we're going to have Ken Pastor in next week to kind of go over this in a little bit more detail. Where was it here now? I found it. I had it earlier where it had the exemptions for the Indian lands or native lands, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, I'm just going to stop sharing there. So you've got that website to look into, and I guess leaseholds aren't the transfer of property. So they're a little bit different of an animal, but any other properties you're going to be selling. Make sure your client are aware of this, or check with their lawyer or their notary regarding this, because it could affect them directly as far as that. So as far as I can see from the exemptions, the Indian lands are not included in that. And you can go into that website that I showed you, and it has exactly what is exempt, which Indian lands are, and which, and I don't know which are any that aren't, but it just lists them all from, you know, Tawasin all the way to North Van over there in Deep Cove. So have a look through that website. It'll tell you which ones are exempt, which Indian lands are exempt, and which are not for that one there. Again, we're going to have Ken on that one next week. I wanted to give time for us to promote Ken coming to the office and people to get their questions together and that. I didn't want to kind of jump on them and say, come in today, last minute kind of thing, because you know, really our thing was goal setting and stats for this year, for this week's meeting. So he will be here next week. So please make a note in your calendar. Ken Pasner, our in-house lawyer, will be talking about the anti-flipping tax again. You have some material on it. I've sent you a link to their website, the BC government website, and it has the exemptions on it. It has what the tax is, what is exempt. So it'll give you a good idea. So you're going to have to do some research, get online, open up the website, you know, read through it as it applies to your clients, and kind of come up to speed on that one there going forward when you're talking to people. If you have any questions, I'm always around.
Yeah, and I also think, Doug, that we should, for everybody, get your questions ready and send them to me, or send them to me, and then we'll build a list and send them to Ken so he knows what we're asking to be answered. Because one of the questions I would have is, if Doug buys a property and sells it with under that time period, and he has to pay the tax on the lift, and he doesn't pay the tax on the lift, is a new buyer responsible for the tax on the lift, like a GST thing or whatever? So anyway, there's lots of unknowns there. The government likes to put out these new rules without thinking them out fully, right? So, but thanks, Doug, for answering that. And I hope, Rico, you got in there early enough to hear a bit of that.
Yeah, well, I think, yeah. So Rico, would answer your question, I guess the Indian lands are exempt, but check that list on the website that says which Indian lands are exempt, because I don't know if they're all listed there. I don't know all the Indian lands in the area. So, but if you're not in the Indian lands and it's an actual sale, you may be liable for it. So check with your notary or lawyer on that one there. Have your client check with their notary lawyer. And there's a calculator in there, like Mike says, you're paying on the profit, or what we call the lift. I don't know how much that is exactly. I haven't, you know, got into that, but you know, you can get into that calculator and it'll help you with that. So do make your clients aware of that, because it could be a real shocker come closing time if they haven't anticipated it going forward. Okay, is there any questions about that for now? Again, we'll be reviewing and pastors, so I'll go from there. All right, we wanted to kind of start off the new year. I always start off my new year, guys, doing all my goal setting and planning, and trying to get at least a semblance of an idea of where I'm going, what I'm going to be doing, and kind of get the year off to a good start. And you know, I think one of the things that I learned early on, and that's from teaching navigation, is that in order to figure out where you're going, you got to kind of know where you are now. That was the number one thing in navigation. All right. So I think the first thing you ought to be doing is looking at reviewing your last year, your 2023, and seeing what happened, what transpired, you know, things that worked for you, things that didn't work for you, kind of thing. And I did send you another little article. It's an older article that I pulled out in I think it was 2014, but I found it very, very useful. And I'm going to kind of use this as my guideline. Let me just share my screen again, and I'm going to cover it with you. But these are just some tips going forward to kind of help you out. This isn't an end for all of everything you need. Like I say, we'll be doing a more in-depth goal setting and time management in one of the PDB courses, or a couple of PDB courses coming up in February. This is just kind of a little bit of a head start on everything. So let me just share my screen again. And like I say, this is an oldie but a goldie. And I found this to be very, very good. This is from 2014, but hitting your production goals for 2014. Let's move this out of the way here. Requires more persistence and self-discipline. If you've already, if you're ready to do what it takes to hit your goals, you need a workable strategy to keep you on track throughout the year. Did you hit your production goals for last year? If not, persistence and self-discipline alone are not enough. You also need a written business plan that establishes clear-cut priorities based upon profits, not just revenue, to make your business more profitable in 2025 in this case. Follow these guidelines. First of all, you have to list all your activities. You know, what are you doing out there? Have you got one of these lead generators? Have you got advertising out there? Are you doing flyers? Are you doing door knocking? Are you doing cold calling? What are you doing? Have you got the you know, that list that you do? They give you a list of numbers and you can make your own calls, kind of thing. So you've got to know where you were last year and kind of list those all, you know, in order of what efforts you're making and what you're spending on these kind of things. And basically, you know, here's an example of this. You know, referrals, she made $43,000 on them and with a cost of $12,000. Website leads, $23,000, cost of $6,000. Expired listings, $21,000 with a cost of $4,200. Postcard mailing, farm, $8,000, made $8,000 with a cost of $6,000. Newspaper ads, $6,750. This is just an example. Let me give you a real life example. I was talking to Chantel from the brand at the Christmas party. And if any of you have ever driven in along over the Lionsgate Bridge coming into Vancouver, and you see that really beautiful sign there with the brand, and it's got Tyler and Chantel on it, and it's just an exquisite advertisement for them and the brand and their, you know, what they're doing, because they do, you know, they do a lot of business in Cole Harbour. And in talking to her, it came out that, you know, that one ad was $6,000 a month. So that's $72,000 a year that they pay for that one ad. You know, it's a billboard kind of thing, right as you come off the Lionsgate Bridge coming into Vancouver. It's you can't miss it, and it's a really eye-catching thing. It might be at one of the bus stops or whatever, but I know that just by talking to her, you know, she was obviously considering what the return on that advertising was, and was it worth it? Is that sign worth $72,000? Well, first of all, you know, you have to be a top realtor to afford, you know, something like that, and she absolutely is, and the brand is, you know, one of the top teams in BC, period. So you know, it is there, but is it really worth it? Now, you maybe don't have those kind of ads, but you maybe have a bus stop, or they've been you know, garbage can ad, one of the ones on those street you know, trash can things. They're just as effective as well. You can see them forever. It could be on the back of a bus, on the buses that you see, or it could be just simply running ads or paying Google or Facebook to pump up your listings. So you really have to know where you're at now, what you're spending your money on and your time. And I equate time as money as well. So if I'm spending, you know, 20 hours a week, that to me is money as well. It's the same as if I were to make, I don't know, whatever dollar figure you want to put on that. I would, you know, put that into what my efforts are, because it's part of your total effort. The money you're spending and the time you're spending, add those two together to see, you know, what your efforts are. And you should all have all of these kind of things listed down as to what you are doing, you know, for your referral fees, your lead gen, your website leads, if you're doing expired listings, that kind of thing. You really want to have that down. And then basically what you're going to do is go through your list and figure out what your return on your investment is, your ROI. Are you making any money on these? Are you doing this? And in this case here that she's showing us on here, her referrals, she's spending about 12 grand on making 43. Her net profit was 31. This is probably the easiest calculation here. Website leads, she's making 17,000 on it. Expired listings, she's spending making 21, spending 4, she's making 17 on that. Postcards, she's making 2,000 profit on the postcards. How much time is she spending on that? Probably a lot to get the postcards going on. Newspaper ads, 6,000 plus 7,500, she's $1,500 loss. So just based on that, you can see clearly that, you know, for me, if I looked at that and that was my, you know, my efforts from last year, I would cross out the postcards, the newspaper, take that money and time and put it up into the top 3, the referrals, the website leads, and the expired listings, probably into referrals if I could. Referrals being, you all should have been out there during Christmas buying your clients a bottle of wine, maybe visiting them, doing whatever you're doing, maybe a box of chocolates, whatever you're going to do. That would be your referrals, and trying to get those more referrals. Or like Mike always says, and the best and the cheapest advertise is get on the phone. Call those clients up. Say, hey, how are you? Happy New Year. Is there anything I can do for you? That kind of thing, and get out there and start, pumping up your business on these referrals. But the bottom line is go through the list, find the things that are making you money, redouble your efforts on those, the things that really aren't, producing anything for you. Maybe chalk them off the list, cross them off, stop doing them, and maybe put that time and effort into something else. Now, the other thing, this is just another way to calculate it, whatever she's doing there. It's just the same result comes to that. And bottom line, being willing to let go of your least profitable activities allows you to more funds and time to grow what's more profitable for you. Now, the one thing that I really like about this too, and talk about time management, this is the final thing of this article here, and you may have heard this in the basic Realty 101 or whatever, talking to people, but it's something called Eat That Frog. And I really like this saying, not the saying, but the meaning of it all. And what it means is you all should be doing your to-do list. So when I have a to-do list today, I have all the list of the things that I want to accomplish. I have my goals and set for today in this meeting, and what I want to accomplish. And you list them all out there. And every day you should be listing all the things that you got to do. And there's always those things that are the most onerous, the hardest things that you got to do, whether you got to make a call to the lawyer or a problem client or something like that, or something that you really don't want to do. And when you make your list, what you always want to do is put the most difficult task number one on your list, and try and accomplish that number one thing on your list first. So whatever it is, that difficult call or those 20 calls you got to make every morning, get those done. Because what that does, if you don't do that, then you're kind of got it in the back of your mind the rest of the day, and it affects what you're doing on the littler things that you're doing throughout the day, because you got to do that tough thing, eventually during the day. But if you do it first, and you get it out of the way, all those little things are really easy to do. You just check them off, and if you miss a couple, you put those on to the next day, and it's a lot easier to do. And the other thing I found on that one there is if you have 2 frogs in a day, so you have 2 really, really difficult things that you're going to have to do. The saying is, eat the ugliest frog first. All right? I really kind of like that. So the tougher of the 2 things that you have to do the toughest one first, then do the other one. Those are out of the way. The rest of the day is easy. It's easy. You can just go about your thing, do your things, whatever it is. And the other thing that she's got in here is use emotional rewards to making your goals achieving easier. Make sure that if you do get that stuff done, you can reward yourself with something. It might be something small, like go to Starbucks for one of these $10 macchiato, whatever they are, whatever coffees. I can't afford those anymore. But whatever you like, go for a walk around the park, do whatever you can, take an hour off to do what you might want to use. Or it could be a financial goal. Some people might have that Porsche car sitting in their picture on their desk or whatever. That's what they're going to get at the end of the year, whatever, if they make it there. So that's a little bit about that. The other thing here, and this has to do with what's going on nowadays with everybody working at home. Determine the environment that best supports you. Every action you take occurs in the context of your environment. For example, some people thrive in a noisy, boisterous environment, while others like absolute quiet. Well, this comes down to, I'm just going to stop sharing here. Where is it you're working? Is the office a better place to work? I know Sonny comes to the office all the time, and I think that's a good thing. He enjoys that environment. There's people to talk to, things to do. There's not a lot of distractions, and everybody's kind of on the same page. Whereas if you're at home and you're, like our man there with his cats, he likes his cats, and his cats keep him company. I know that, and he enjoys that kind of a environment. But you want to kind of set your environment up for your work. So if you like making calls at the office, make sure you're in the office at 9 o'clock every morning, whatever. If you need some quiet time and you work best in a quiet environment, then make that happen. Find a quiet environment. Some people like working. I know talk to a lot of guys that go to the coffee shop down the corner. They get away from the kids and the family, and they're not getting distracted by that, and they feel better working there, and they're okay in that noisy environment. I can't operate in that because it's just too many distractions. But make sure you're setting up your work environment for success. Find out where you work best at what times, and then start to follow those kind of guidelines for yourself, and make a habit of it, and make a schedule. And if you're going to come into the office at 9 to noon every day, then do it. That's fine. Make your calls, then take off, kind of thing. So these are all little ideas that you have about becoming a little more successful next year, making next year 2025 or this year better than 2024, and that shouldn't be too difficult to do. But do write up a business plan, and do try and follow it. And hey, by the middle of the year, I'm all over the board. I've written out my plan. I've done my stuff, and some things have worked out, some things haven't, and I've got to readjust it at that time, and rethink everything, because some things that I thought were going to be just wonderful don't turn out, and some things that I didn't think were going to turn out just wonderful. So make sure you're making your adjustments along the way. We will have some more PDP self-directed courses on time management and goal setting, and setting up your business. So is there any questions about that so far? I kind of blabbing on here, Mike. I drank too much coffee, I think, this morning. Is everybody asleep now? Hello, anybody there? Hello.
Sorry, my new techie. No, I thought that was good, Doug. It's an eye opener and an ear opener for what we all need to do. So sorry guys, I didn't mean to interrupt there. Does anybody have any questions about what Doug is saying?
You all got it. You're all going to do 100% better
Okay,
for
so
last year.
let's move forward. What's your next topic, Doug?
Stats,
Okay.
Mike. So let's cover the stats here. We're going to move right along here, and I'm going to pull up. Let me just share this screen with you. We'll cover those quickly. Zoom. Share. Can you all see news release here? I'll make this
Yes.
a little smaller. Okay. All right, here we go. So year end. Last year's sales was 20.9% below the 10-year annual sales. So we all kind of knew that. We were a little slower last year for sure. Currently, the number of homes listed for sale in the MLS system in Metro Vancouver is 10,948, a 24.4% increase compared to December 2024 of 8,802. The total is also 25% above the 10-year seasonal average. So basically, we got more listings. We're above the currently number of listed are above the 10-year average. So we're about 25% above that. And if we go down to the sales to active ratio, let's see, just looking for, the sales here. Where's the sales? Oh, here we go. Last year's sales total 20. We're 20% below the 10-year average for sales, and we're 25% above the 10-year average for listings. So we got more inventory than sales. That's kind of still putting a damper on all the prices. But what's been happening here is the prices are kind of holding. We're not going up. We're not really going down. We're kind of holding. We're kind of at a 0.5 increase over 2023. So that's kind of a nice steady pace for us. That means that when you're doing your pricing for realtors, we have a better gauge for what we're going to see. We're not getting these multiple offers where people are going 50, 100,000 over, asking that kind of thing with multiple offers, and the bidding war is going on. That's not happening. It's kind of a balanced market where we got a good amount of buyers, a good amount of sellers. They got a good choice, and but not too much choice, and the prices are holding. So what you offer, normally, if you price a property at market value, you're going to get a good return on it. Your people will come in and look at it if it's priced appropriately. If it's priced too high, same old, same old. You're not going to get a lot of showings on it. You have a hard time listing it. If you're priced too low, yeah, you could get, and it's in a desirable area, you could get multiple offers. So we got a little bit of everything there, but it's kind of a balanced market going down, which is okay for me. I got, it was kind of scary in that, you know, in the seller's market where you'd have to go in and you'd get 5 offers and you'd have to go over asking, you know, 30, 40, 50, 100 grand, whatever it was, depending on the initial price. So this kind of a market, I think, is a little more fair both to the buyer and seller. You kind of can anticipate what they're going to sell it for and what the buyer is going to pay for it. Sales to active ratio, you all know that if it goes below 12, that's the buyer's market. If it goes above 20, that's the seller's market. Somewhere between 12 and 20 is a balanced market. So the sales to active ratio for December aggregate was 16.8. By property type, it's 12.1 for detached homes, 23.6 for attached, and 18.7 for apartments. So kind of maybe the less expensive units, being the townhouses and apartments, are pushing up towards the seller's market, but that's because of the price point. Going forward, if you get into the actual areas, Greater Vancouver, residential composite, that's all 3 property types, townhouses, apartments, and houses. Generally, it was a month-to-month change is -0.1. North Vancouver, -0.05. East Vancouver, West Vancouver, -0.1, -0.3. So prices are easing a little bit. They're not dropping a lot. They're just, you know, you gotta sharpen your pencil when you're doing listings. You got a little bit of leeway when you're doing a buy. You can probably go a little under asking on those ones there. Single family detached, 0 on Greater Vancouver, -0.8. This is month over month. This is the last 30 days. -0.8 North Van, -0.4 Vancouver East, -0.3 Vancouver West. Townhouses, -0.3 overall. North Van, -2.8. East Van, it's going up 2.6. Vancouver East and Vancouver West going up 2.6 and up 0.5. Greater Vancouver for apartments is down 0.4. North Van is 0.0. And Vancouver East, Vancouver West, down 0.3 and down 0.8. So that's kind of the overall look on that one there. I'm just going to get out of here. I've also sent you guys a copy of the snap stats. Let's see if I got that here now. See if I can find that one. Okay, I'll try and share again. This is, as you know, you guys got a copy of this one too. This is your snap stats. So the difference between, I'm just going to go to the top of this here. Sorry, I was working through it. So the difference, not the main difference, but one of the differences between the stats that the real estate board sends out and snap stats is the size, the look of everything. Snap stats gives you a more detailed look of the different areas. The real estate board stats are a little wider. They're kind of like a shotgun approach to kind of give you the overall look of it. They do get into some areas, but not as good or not as detailed as snap stats. So if you think of the real estate board stats as a shotgun approach, then the snap stats are more pinpointing to what you're looking at for your client. So if you're working with a client in whatever area, this is for condos, Vancouver downtown, it splits it up, and so do the stats, but this is going to get even more detailed. I've got Yaletown is at 19%. So the downtown condos and townhomes really aren't in a seller's market yet, even though the Vancouver real estate board stats showed that, generally, apartments were in a seller's market. So we're not really seeing that here in general on Yaletown and that kind of thing. There are some areas and some price points that are. So if you go 800, 900, they're at 20% sales to active ratio. And you got, look at this one here. I noticed this one here, 2 million to 2,250,000. There was, and I try and pick the ones that have enough sales. So if there's only 2 listings and 1 sale, excuse me, the sales to active ratio is going to be 50%. Well, that's going to skew that whole area. It's not enough there's not enough samples to give you a good thing. So I look for, make sure there's enough samples out here to give us a good read. So there's 13 listings, 5 sales, pretty good, 38%. So 4 and 10 are selling at that price point. So for some reason, that seems to be a hot spot in that area. I'm looking at here, what happened in December is, in most cases that I've looked at, the days on market went from 30 in November to 42 in December. So more days on the market means the market's slowing a little bit to me. They're taking a little bit longer to sell. Things are holding, but that could be just because it was December, and December, typically a little slower. I know, and me and everybody got busy, for the last couple of weeks of December, and they're doing family stuff. Not a lot of people were doing opens and going to opens and doing the other stuff. Everybody's kind of busy, so that kind of makes a lot of sense. Just going down a little bit here. This is for detached houses. You've got a price point here, 3 million to 3.5 million, 25%. So that's kind of a hot spot there. You've got Mackenzie High, or Kitsilano is pretty hot, 35. 8 of 23 sold. In Arbutus, 4 of 16 sold for 25% sales to active ratio. So you can I'm just going to stop sharing, guys. The whole point here is these are all talking points for you and your client. I can talk to you about it, but you should be taking this stuff and talking to your clients about it. And that's the whole idea. Right or wrong, or they understand it, don't understand it, send it to them, and it gives you a reason to have a conversation with them. They may send them an email and just give them a summary of that, do your own video on it, do kind of what I'm doing now, do a summary of whatever, do that every month. And make sure you're the provider of stats and information to your client. Whether they read it or not is kind of, as long as they see it and you're putting it out there, that kind of makes you the go-to person. Like, there's all kinds of articles I see online that I'll go look this guy up if I want this information or whatever information I need. But you want them to call, Diego for rentals. He knows everything about that. He knows his way around those. He knows what the tenancy board does, all that stuff. Our man, he's really good for those pre-sales. God, he's got a really good in with these guys at Concord. If I want some from them, I'll contact him. So keep sending that information out. Keep putting it out there. But if you don't put it out there, nobody knows what you know or you don't know. Make sure you're touching your database all the time. And every month, send that email out or whatever it is, or a little video with it. Mike does a great job of the bomb. He's got that bomb going on. Try that out this year. Try your bomb out. Try something new out. The bomb's a video thing that we have online. Try something different, guys. Get out there and test the market. When the going gets tough, the tough get going, and that's where you guys want to be. You want to be ahead of the curve here, getting out there, putting your stuff out there, and just continually doing that. You got to be consistent as well. Don't just try it for a month or two. It has to be kind of an overall plan for 3 or 6 or 12 months kind of thing going on. And to send an email out with a little video costs you nothing. And that's what we're kind of getting at. Mike, that's about it for me. I'm done.
You're done. Take a break.
I need to breathe.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Doug. I appreciate everything that you do and advise us and got our backs and stuff like that. Flipping tax is what we came in and talked about. Karen had a really good note on the comment section from Ken. Is it's about 2-3% of all transactions people are flipping, so it's not a lot, but the government's coming in for their political reasons to do it. But anyway, if you're in the business to flip homes, then you should be registered as a company to be paying the tax instead of cheating the system. So I don't think it's really bad. But I think we need to explain it to our customers of what it actually is. And a reminder that next Tuesday, Ken Pasner, the real estate lawyer guru, is coming in. It's an in-house meeting. And Angel, correct me if I'm not wrong, we have the home stager coming in as well.
Yes, boss, Christina.
Yeah, Christina. So It's an in-house meeting, so come on in. And Thursday, when, Angel, what's the date? Have we picked it?
The 30th?
Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah, the 30th
Yes.
of January. Okay, so mark that in your calendars and we'll post that out. We also have another speaker coming in at the end of this month, a good friend of mine, Cam Van Cleese. He's the owner of the Century 21 Creekside in Chilliwack and in Abbotsford, I know. And he's putting on a success series, which is what Doug was talking about, which is kickstarting it. And he's also presenting to the Century 21 USA Realtor leaders, and he presents it at a Century 21 Canada conference. So he's coming into the office. It's going to be a 3-hour session. It's going to start with a coffee, meetings, and a lunch snack at the end. I believe the price is $50, but it's to set you up to get you organized and ready for 2025. I mean, it's going to kickstart your business. It's going to master your metrics, basically understand what your superpowers are, build systems and that reflect you. So make it personal, make it about you and what you're really good at, and set some holistic goals. He's a fitness guru, so it's not all about sitting in a chair, but it's getting up and getting your butt moving and doing some good stuff for your body and for your soul. But it's all about tracking, planning, and goal setting. Doug,
When is that, Mike?
Yeah.
When is that?
It's going to be at the end of the month. We're just putting on the dates now, and I'll send out an email invite for everybody to register. I don't know how his payment plan's going to go. You probably pay him for it, but it's a favor to me. So it's basically going to cover the coffee and the food, and he's coming on. And Cameron's solid. Cam gets it. He's good. He's young. He's aggressive, and he knows how to deal with business in easier markets and competitive markets. But a market is a market. So stay tuned for that one. You guys don't want to miss that. We'll host it up here in the office, but we'll give everybody a time frame for when it's coming. Doug made. I like the eat the frog thing. I don't know why anybody wanted to eat a frog, but. And I got lots in my backyard. So if anybody finds a bird that eats frogs, let me know. But a good CRM, like the one that we have in Moxie, does just that for me. I have everybody in my database. I set my follow-up calls in my database that show up on my calendar and show up on my to-do list. And when I sit down here, I simply go through my list. And Doug says that the frog is in this book. This is my frog list. So this is the one I look at first because it's already in my computer, but this is my today's to-dos. And then I look at my calendar for my calls and my to-dos for my calls and my follow-ups and my emails. And that's what pushes me ahead. And I'm like you guys, sometimes I get in a rut, sometimes I get lazy. But if you get into a good system, your laziness kind of goes away because you're looking at the screen and the screen's telling you what you need to do. And then it's just being too complacent. If the fingers all point back at you when you don't pick up the phone, you don't send that email or that text to people that you need to talk to. But you know, once you start going, it's the momentum. And I said this last year, and I'll say this every year. If you start getting into some good best practices and you don't, and it's my old buddy Brian Rushton at Century 21 Canada said, you eat the elephants one bite at a time. Don't take on too much, but just start going, start moving. You will start seeing some results from it. And Doug also mentioned going through all his stats that we saw two kinds of stats. We saw the Vancouver board stats and Snap stats. General stats suck. Because if you're quoting general stats, your customers already read that because the Vancouver board and any other boards already posted it. The news has already read it. And if you're just regurgitating that and giving it to your customers, they're smarter than you because they've already saw it first. Break it down. Why is Yaletown a better place to buy or sell than Cole Harbour? I don't know, but look at the stats and read it there. And don't read them the stats, but explain them the stats, if that makes sense. And so I've always had this list on my desk, and it's just best habits. You know, you got to connect. You got to call everybody. Don't take anybody off your list unless they tell you where to go. But you can diarize, you know, every 2-week call, or every 2 months, or once every year, or 6 months. But get in the habit of who you know wants to hear from you on a regular basis and a semi-regular basis. Get a lead gen system. Get into a routine. Do open houses, for God's sake, guys. They work. Your signs out there work. You're being seen. So you're not only doing an open house to try to sell the property, which is number 1 priority, but number 2 priority is you're looking for buyers and sellers in the neighborhood or in the building, and you're getting exposure on the street because your sign has your name on it. And I think I said this before, but get a lead gen system. They're not expensive. Probably $500 to step in, $300 as an intro package, and the $300 a month is being paid to do their Google AdWords spend, and you should get between 20 and 30 leads a month. If you look at the overall stats on that, is 1% of those leads turns into a deal, but that's instant gratification. So if you get 300 leads in a year and you get 3 deals, do $300 a month plus 3 deals. 3 deals here is about $36,000. You've got to win based on how Doug went over it. Just, you know, look at your cost and your time and what your profit is, and that tells you if you've got something good or not. You got to know your local market, guys. You got to really know the area that you're marketing to, and that's where the Snap Stats or a product like that comes to. Suit up. You know, don't show up in a tank top and gym shorts every day to come to work. You know, you're out there buying your groceries, putting gas in your car, walking your dog, but look presentable, because that attracts people to come and talk to you. Unfollow the negative. I mean, that's what I used to follow, the negative. And you know, CKNW, I listen to it every now and then. It gets me mad because sometimes they say stuff that just doesn't make sense. So I don't listen to that. I listen to my podcast. So get some good podcasts going. Look what's going on in your market every day. Really understand that. Get reviews. There's a lot of you that have been in this business for a while that you could go back to your previous customers that you haven't done and just simply say, hey, Bob and Sally, you know, I appreciate doing business with you a couple of years ago. I noticed I never got a review. Could I send you a link? Angel at the front desk can help you send that out. The more reviews you get, the more respectable that you are in the consumer's eyes. And I don't think anybody can disagree with that. And I'll give you one of my presentation tips is, there's a lot of realtors that go to the Paragon and they print, I don't know if you can see that. This is your feature sheet. So when you're doing an open house, you got the Paragon feature sheet that has all the data and everything, but it looks terrible. It sucks. But if you, I don't know what Angel's replied to me yet or not, give me 2 seconds, but I could spend $1 on that, or I could spend $2 on a beautiful color brochure front and back that really highlights the property, the floor plan, and everything, because that's in our system. That's in the Moxie marketing. And think about it. Everybody's got to spend what they have to spend, but $1 or $2, whatever the difference costs, I'd be spending this all day because that's my first impression, because the lazy person's doing this. The smart person is doing this. This stands out because I'm going to throw this away. I'm going to keep this because it's a better product. So anyway, you're better than the 80% of the lazy professionals in our business. So don't compete with them. Don't compete with them. Do something better. Take a little bit more time. Get ready. Get yourself into the system. If you need some help getting some structure, whether you're brand new or established, come and see me. You're all different. So I'll have a different idea for all of you, but my main focus is getting a system set up and starting the little steps to get you going. The rush didn't eat the elephant, because it does work. And I don't care if you've been in the business for 2 hours or 20 years. I believe I have something of value for you. So stay tuned for Cameron's presentation at the end of the month. You're gonna love it. I've heard him speak a few times. I've known him for years. He's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing, and there's no excuses. Does anybody have any questions for me regarding any of that? Doug, stretching? Anybody?
Hey, away on holidays for 17th to 31st, so Klaus is gonna take over all my calls for last 2
Yeah.
weeks.
We'll put that out. We'll put that out as well. But guys, it's the market. The market will be busy this year. You got to get ready, but it's not going to. Sometimes it'll come to you every now and then, but you can't catch a fish. Doug uses sailing examples. I use fishing. You can't catch a fish unless you got a hook in the water. This is your hook in the water. Have a plan. Get a goal, get a structure, get a routine and commit, and you'll have an amazing 2025. And if you don't want to do any of that, then you won't. But I choose to have an amazing 2025, and I know it's going to be a great year. So anybody have any questions? Going once, twice, three. Thank you. Take care. We'll see you next Tuesday in the office, and come on in. We do have, I think, 1 or 2 parking stalls available in the office. And if you're interested, come and see me. I might make you a deal on one.
Thanks,
All right.
Mike.
That's all I got.
See you later.
Ciao.